Hey everybody, what's going on? Dace here. Welcome to another video, and this time around we are doing a review of Shinorubi on Nintendo Switch. So let's get right into things here. Shinorubi is a 5-stage vertical scrolling shooter developed by Last Boss 88 and published by Red Art Games. The game has 5 difficulty settings and includes additional modes such as Boss Rush, Caravan, Shield, Super Rank, Scratch, Cancel, Journey, Pink Pig, and Laser/Shot mode. At the start of each run, you can choose one of 8 ships, each with its own configuration of speed, power, and shot coverage. I found playing as Boombi to be awesome since the ship's sprite is easily the biggest one I've ever seen in a shooter. It's almost the equivalent of Raiden from the Ninja Savior's Return of the Warriors. So I definitely had mixed experiences with this game, and so what I figured I would do for this review, instead of having everything in like a super precise, broken down format, I would go over the things I enjoyed, then touch on some of the things that rubbed me a certain way, and just kind of like wrap things up after that. So it's going to be pretty casual as we just go over these points. So first off, I think the menus look fantastic. Everything is like really sharp and attractive. I like the colors and all that kind of stuff. So that was like really nice. It was refreshing. The title screen, like even the font of the name itself was more engaging than most games. And so that was cool. I really love the cool boss designs in this game and just how some of the bosses are just like small and compact. Like they're still big on screen, of course, but like they're just like these really compact designs, and there's just something really powerful about some of those. It was really cool to see that. I also really came to enjoy the music in this game. The OST just has some fantastic tunes as you go chipping away through each stage, so that was really cool. As for the look of the game, there are some really lush stages, especially stage 1 with like the forest mixed with like the futuristic energy towers or whatever they are. There was just a lot of vibrancy, and it was just very inviting. It just pulled me in, and I really enjoyed that stage specifically. In terms of the gameplay, it took a little to get into the flow of things, and we're going to touch on a little more of that very soon. But all in all, like I had a fun time with the game for sure, but I think there were just a number of things that definitely kind of held things back. So let's get into some of those things now. So the aspect ratio of Shinorubi isn't my first choice, but at the same time I didn't let it faze me too much because I've played games like this before, and it's just sometimes how it goes. That said, I did reach out about this, like why they did it this way, and here's what they had to say. We wanted players on modern consoles to be 100% immersed in the game, and to achieve this we wanted the game to use the whole screen. We have examples of vertical shoot-em-ups like Mars Matrix, Gigawing 1 and 2, Raystorm, or Radiant Silvergun, which already use the whole screen in Yoko. This requires a fine-tuning of the gameplay and a balance to be found between the player's area of coverage, enemy movement, and the shape of enemy fire. The game has been designed with this in mind. There will be no vertical version on the Shinorubi console or PC version. The Shinorubi Pink Label version is a separate game specially designed for vertical arcade screens and has nothing to do with Shinorubi. So no, there will be no vertical version of Shinorubi in the future. With that coming from the creators, in my opinion, even if the Pink Label version is a separate game entirely, it's the type of experience people wanted based on numerous comments I've come across since this game's release. I can understand the creators wanting to do something like Gigawing or Radiant Silvergun, but I don't feel they nailed it like they could have. And I feel like a lot of people would have been far happier had they just included the Pink Label version as part of this package. Moving on, some events didn't feel satisfying to me due to the lack of visual representation or sound effects either missing entirely or not doing justice because they were too subtle. As an example, when you're collecting medals, that didn't satisfy me. There was nothing really to pull me in to want to do that too much, because it was just visually and audibly subdued, and so like there was just nothing engaging there for me. Bombs felt somewhat underwhelming. I prefer when bombs feel like they make an impact on the screen, and that certainly was not really here. And again, it was just one of those things where visually and all that kind of stuff, like there just wasn't enough substance to that kind of event to make an impact and to just really feel like it's a powerful thing to do. So when I started playing this game, I very quickly noticed that micro-dodging was pretty much a surefire way to just lose a life. Even if it looked like there was a clear way through certain bullets, usually like as soon as you got to the pattern itself, you would just be taking a hit. And so there was a part of me that thought like, oh, well, maybe they designed it so that you're just supposed to macro-dodge everything, and that's how I started playing. If there was a time where a pattern was coming my way, it was never worth the risk attempting to go through it. So I would, if I couldn't macro it, it would just be a bomb. Like that's all there was to it. It's just like, okay, macro or bomb your way, because I've seen time and time again that attempting to micro is just not the thing to do in this game. Even though the stages look really cool in some areas, they did end up feeling a little more on the repetitive side. Sometimes this doesn't matter to me, but I think when you have such a great opening stage like the forest and technological implementations that I mentioned earlier, you have something that begs for this game to just have very distinct stages, so that each thing just feels like its own living and breathing space with like unique enemies and whatnot. So I feel like that's one thing that probably could have been worked on or improved a little more. As for the story, I'm not much one for story when it comes to shooters, so I didn't look into what this is about, or like I didn't watch any of the scenes or anything that the game may have dished out for me. I just skipped whatever I could. As for bugs in the game, I only came across a couple things, and this was only the first handful of sessions. I didn't really encounter it later on, but I did come across one thing where when I was switching from my normal attack to the focus shot, like your laser beam, my attacks stopped damaging enemies, and they simply continued flying around as normal, like scrolling down the screen and out of sight, as if like my shots were just non-existent. So that was pretty strange. I saw that 2 or 3 times in the first day or two. The second issue had to do with music that would not play at the end of the stage, like, you know, when your score screen is going or whatever. I knew there was music normally there because I had heard it before, but it would just cut out entirely for like maybe like 5 or 10 seconds, I'm not sure. So that was like one other thing. Other than that, I didn't come across any other bug type issues. So in closing, I think what I will say is that after having played a bunch of this over the last week and a bit, I certainly see things that I would enjoy to a much greater extent if the game received a little more polish, but I have no idea if they're going to put any sort of attention into this game at this point. Like it's kind of up in the air. Like maybe they'll release a patch or who knows, like, but that's just kind of where things stand. Like I feel like the game has so much potential that just wasn't tapped into or delivered in the best way, and it's not that they couldn't get things into a much better shape, but only time will tell. Anyway, that's going to wrap up my review of Shinorubi. I want to thank Pauline from Red Art Games for providing me with a key for the game and helping to arrange the PS5 copy giveaway. If you'd like to enter the giveaway, simply comment below and share what you're playing this weekend. If you're interested in picking up Shinorubi, it's available on Nintendo Switch for $25.99 Canadian, which is a little over 19 USD or 15 pounds. You can also pick it up on PS4 and 5, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC via Steam. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.